જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ રજનીકાંતભાઈ.
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ. એ સુધી અરુણાબેન
જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ.
ચાલુ કરો.
રાઈટ. દાદા ભગવાનના અસીમ જય જયકાર હો.
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 દાદા આવો છો ને? કમિંગ? દાદા ભગવાનના અસીમ જય જયકાર હો.
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 દાદા ભગવાનના અસીમ જય જયકાર.
દાદા ભગવાનના અસીમ જય જયકાર હો.
Dada Bhagwan Asim Jai Jaikar Ho.
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho.
Dada Bhagwan Asim Jai Jaikar Ho.
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho.
Big Dada, wait a minute.
जय सच्चिदानंद।
Jai
दादा
Satchidanand.
भगवान ना असीम जय जयकार हो।
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho.
दादा भगवान ना असीम जय जयकार हो।
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho.
दादा भगवान ना असीम जय जयकार हो।
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho.
दादा भगवान ना असीम जय जयकार हो।
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho.
दादा भगवान ना असीम जय जयकार हो।
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho.
दादा भगवान ना असीम जय जयकार हो।
Dada Bhagwan na asim jai
जय
jaikar ho.
जयकार हो।
Jai Satchidanand. Deepakani, can you
Jai
recite the mantra,
Satchidanand.
please?
जय सच्चिदानंद। नमो वितरागाय।
Namo
Oh,
Vitragai.
Mitra, God.
नमो अरियंताणं।
Namo
Namo
Arihantaram.
Harijantanam.
नमो सिद्धाणं।
Namo
Namo
Siddharam.
Siddharam.
नमो आयरीयाणं।
Namo Ayariyanam.
नमो वत्सायाणं।
Namo Vajrayanam.
नमो लोये सर्वसाहुणं।
Namo Loe Sava Sahunam.
ऐसो पंचनमुक्कारो।
Eso Panchana Mukkaro.
सर्वपावपणाशनो।
Savapavapanasano.
मङ्गलानं च सर्वेशे।
Mangalanam cha Savvesin.
परमं हवै मङ्गलम्।
Paramam Havai Mangalam.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमः शिवाय।
Om Namah Shivaya.
जय सच्चिदानंद।
Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.
Satchidanand. Okay. Aruna Ben, any question? Kashyapa, any question? Kashyapa? Okay. There's no there. So Deepakanji, today is a very pious day, final day of Navratri. So why don't you talk about the
Yeah,
significance of that?
well, okay. Just to brief it out, the whole process of self-cleansing and attainment of permanent happiness. That is the path of liberation, path of becoming perfect, path of becoming normal. And this is understood or uh, stated as part of salvation, process of salvation. And all those enlightened people who came, all those enlightened people who came, they show this path of becoming perfect. And that's how during the year we have all such occasions, you can say, wherein we can worship, we can meditate, we can contemplate, in retrospection, check ourselves. So it is first thing is that the figure 9 itself is a sign of completeness. And whatever this, some calculation this enlightened must have done and given us these 9 nights or uh, darkness, to how we can eliminate these weaknesses from our nature. Because within us, we have the pure soul, pure consciousness, and that is our true nature, or we are truly spirits, not this mortal body. We are immortal spirits. That is also understood. So, this Navratri, which comes in this time or this part of the year, is widely very celebrated, and people follow them. Moreover, it is followed by Hindus, or we can say it moreover followed by Aryans. So now it should not be misunderstood as what Aryans were defined by Hitler. Aryans means those evolved souls who believe in rebirth, and typically all the human force or human society which is there in India are of that nature or that caliber, or they are Aryans. But Aryans are such, they never belittle anyone, they never disregard anyone. They respect, they accept, and they consider others equal to them, because potentially everyone is an Aryan. Ultimately, everyone comes to this belief of rebirth, reincarnation. Others, as Dada Bhagwan has nicely and clearly revealed, in their verbal usage or in their vocabulary, we will say, verbal in their vocabulary, this principle is very well uh, uh, gets expressed. For example, the language of luck and good luck and bad luck represents this language of destiny, tadbir and takdir. Tadbir means effort, takdir means destiny. So these are the things. So here the 9 days of Navratri is divided into 3 parts of 3 days each. And it is said that, first of all, we will say that our body is practically, to understand, is divided into two halves. The right half is of Shiva, that is pure consciousness, and the left part is of Parvati, Prakriti, or nature, or the manifestation of mind, speech, and body. And in between, the ego pops up, and that creates the havoc because the ego is more extrovert, believing name, body as I am, body as mine. Although the experience is like it's a mixed experiences of mixture. Like we say that I did this, I did that, projecting doership of what is done by the body or body self, we will say. And at times we also claim, yes, I know, I understand everything. So knowing, understanding, that are the fundamental qualities of pure consciousness, whereas the body self does all activities, physical activities, mental activity, verbal activity, activity of intellect, activity of ego, reflective consciousness, and that is considered as pure consciousness. Pure soul is considered as pure consciousness. So firstly, they are allocated to destroy all our impurities and weaknesses and defects. And it is said that we want to open that powerful force within us called as Durga. The second part of that is the next 3 days is for, okay, then we can also say that the first three Swarupa or the qualities are Shailputri, Brahmacharini, and Chandrakanta. We are not going to go into those details, but this is on the three Swarupas. And the next 3 days is why it is called, we say Mother Nature. It is also said that this body is minuscule of the universe outside. And outside what we see is the macroscopic universe, and this is microscopic universe. Everyone's body is microscopic universe. So what is the universe outside? The same universe is within us. So to invoke the mother nature within us in its full form, the second part goes on to open our worldly and spiritual wealth. Worldly, so it says Sansar Lakshmi and Moksha Lakshmi. And these are inexhaustible. They're always there. Those three Swarupas are Kushmanda, Skandamata, and Katyayini. So it is like, see, pure soul doesn't do any physical work. All activities of the world, what we see around, is the activity of the body self. Every living form, body self, consolidates or in totality represents the activity of the nature. And we say that outside nature is perfect, but everywhere where humans have intervened, they have created problems. So all liberated and absolutes, Tirthankaras and enlightened souls, they found out human mistakes and how can you correct them? And this is the path given by them. So the second phase is of opening our inner wealth on the relative side that is on the body self side, and on the real side is the pure consciousness side, wherein our total power of perception and knowledge opens. So we become eligible for that. And the last three are called Ratri, Mahagauri, and Siddhi Datri, bestower of wisdom and absoluteness. And the ultimate state of experience on the body self side is our speech becomes perfect. It is said that when that ignorance is expressed through words, those ignorant words create this mortal world or samsara. And when these very words are heard from enlightened soul, then those words eliminate or uh, free us from these ignorance and we get liberated. So becoming pure consciousness, that's my true nature, spirit is my true nature, that's who I am, gets experience. So in this whole process, when our body becomes free from egoism and become perfect, absolutely perfect, that is when you experience completeness. We experience completeness. And the last state is Syadvada, that is completeness in our speech, wherein our speech becomes absolutely non-violent. So this is how these three phases are there. And in particular, if we say, so ultimately our body becomes such that it is totally free from doership and we live as pure consciousness without causing new karma. So ultimately, we get liberated. Liberated in the sense we get freed from cycle of birth and death. So this is the whole inner journey of every individual, which is must. And that's how we gradually free ourselves from worldly suffering and experience bliss of our pure soul, pure consciousness, who we are perpetually. And that is it. Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand. Thank you. Kashyap.
Yes, Jai Satchidanand, everyone. Jai Satchidanand, Jai Satchidanand, Deepakanandji. Uh, yeah, so my question was that, my question is that this about ahimsa. I have read, what Dadaji says, and so, but how we are to handle that, because
Now we
uh,
are what?
how can we do, how we can manage that, the ahimsa for
Manage
us,
what?
the ahimsa. We have talked about ahimsa towards animals
Ah,
and
non-violence. Okay.
non-violence. Yes,
Yeah.
non-violence. Because it happens, so our intent is not non-violence, but it happens. We are
It happens.
forced
You're
to.
right.
Yeah, so
You're
it is
right.
for. So I will tell one incident. There are a lot of now trees around my house. So some birds
Lot of
and
what? Lot of what?
birds. My voice is coming properly.
No, no, I was just clarifying.
Yeah. So a lot of birds coming. So what happened was that there is a fan outside in the summer.
Who is outside?
Fan, ceiling
Fan.
fan. Yeah. So
Fan. Pankha.
yeah.
Ah,
Uh,
fan outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened was, one bird came, and in the night, and strike against the fan, and it died. It was actually an owl. So it must have come for some food or something, so in the night it didn't see that the blade of the fan, so it got killed there. So like that also, there are fruit trees, so fruit trees, then what happens is that while getting the fruits, there are bees, so what happens is that usually if you try to pluck the uh, trees, then by mistake also the bees many times attacks the person who tries to pluck the trees. So usually what they do is they, either they kill the bees or smoke the bees or something like that they do before plucking the fruits. So like that all it is very much prevalent, so this the things, so either we means we have to choose, then otherwise the other person, the person who is getting the fruits, they will complain that we can't work like that, so they kill, so even if we try to stop or something like that. So this is what I'm trying to say, that how you manage this in your side. I have seen this, that these are the limitations, what we can do, what we can't do. So that is the thing.
First thing is that whatever we see around is part of the nature, and in the nature, big animals eat the small animals because that's how they survive. Every living being survives by consuming other animals, we can say. So, this is the part or the uh, very bitter truth of our life. We cannot survive without eating, without consuming. So, the whole universe, what we see around, is jam packed with living beings. Certain living beings we understand, we appreciate also. Like what is physical, you can say humans, animals, plants, creatures, we understand. But water, we don't know that it is also a living being.
Mm.
The mud, where we plant trees or we find trees, that is also a living being, the body of the living being, and there is soul inside. Fire is also living being. Air, what we see, what we breathe, is also a living being. So, earth, water, earth, fire, air, all are living beings only. And what we see around is bigger animals eat smaller animals. That is also saying like life begets life. So, how can we conceive that idea and live that idea or live that principle of non-violence is matter of understanding. And the ultimate state of experience of the absolutes, that is Tirthankaras, their body, their living, their moving around becomes such, it becomes such that the breathing activity is non-violent. Their movement is non-violent. They don't even consume physical food then. Because to consume something physical, you have to consume something living and like that. So they take the sunlight, they take the moisture, and that's how they don't even drink physical water. but we have to drink water. So ultimately that state of experience and that person becomes such non-violent that his daily living activity also becomes like that. So when one reaches that absolute state, that is called Keval Jnana. And for that you can say Mahavira, Lord Mahavira, he lived for 30 years. He attained absoluteness at the age of 42, and he lived until 72, where at 72 he attained nirvana, because then that last departure is not called that, it is called Lord attained nirvana. So this is the process, and all these things what we see around, we only feel, and it is understood that we should not try to become an instrument, we call as nimitta, in anybody's suffering as far as possible. So, to become emotional when we see all these things going on, then you cannot live normally. So don't need to become emotional, but to strive to become non-violent, such that these things are going to remain outside in the world, in the universe, in the nature. But we will become such that we will become totally non-violent. Our basic breathing, we say these enlightened souls, enlightened absolutes have said that even our breathing activity is violent. Our movement, what we move, that movement is also violent, because in that movement, very movement, so many lives get killed. And of all the things, our interactive life with people around is obviously violent. When we don't believe in others, we don't accept what others say. There is difference of opinion is also what you call a violent way of living. So gradually and eventually our life becomes such that we become totally non-violent. And it starts with acquisition. It truly starts with acquisition of one's own knowledge of oneself, who he is. And ultimately, with that perception, sharp perception, one starts living, understanding his mistakes, tries eliminating them gradually, and ultimately becomes non-violent, perfect non-violent. So, without getting emotionally driven away, we must put our efforts, perceive all our life activities from gross to subtle, subtle to subtler, and subtler to subtlest. Gross is of the body, partly it is of our speech, subtle is that of our mind, subtler is that of our intellect, and subtlest is that of egoism. So that gradually when our perceptive power increases from gross to subtle, subtle, subtler, subtler, subtlest. And that's how we become perfect, that we are able to perceive those activities of our egoism itself, and that's how we eliminate, we surpass them and become perfectly non-violent, right? Jai Satchidanand.
So how you manage if you means if you are in my position, how you manage, So this was my question.
Whatever you can, you must do. Maybe if you are using those ceiling fan, you use a pedestal fan with cover. So there is no scope of any bird or this getting struck by the fan. Do you understand?
Yeah, so whatever is possible, you do
will
it.
need fan. You will need fan. So I mean, to cool yourself. So in that situation, you will have to do something.
So
So
whatever is
use pedestal
possible,
fan.
so what you are saying,
Yes, whatever possible you should do.
Hmm.
And whatever you cannot it is like, okay, you have to buy something, so maybe it is what you call an investment. It's possible. It is possible. So whatever best you can, you do, and when you cannot do, still you continue doing, but correct them through uh, forgiveness. So eventually you will come across those situations wherein you don't have to uh, commit any violence, any obvious, visible violence.
Yes. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So we are doing the pratikraman and trying to do the things, so intention and positive effort. So whatever is the
Correct.
best. Yes. Got it. Yep. Thank you. Yes, Sachi.
Jai Satchidanand. Lalita Ben. Shilja Ben.
Yes, Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
I I don't have questions this week, but I will have next week. So
Okay.
Sally has got her hand up.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Jai Satchidanand-Deepakanandji, Jai Satchidanand Rajnikant, Jai Satchidanand Mahatmas. My question was, there's something which was there in my mind about, like we talked about how Dada says that the whole universe or everything, we have to keep observing the inner working. Whereas the universe is within us. So the inner universe is what is more important, and that is the one we are trying to purify. So but on a daily basis, like as human beings, our senses are all going outwards, right? So how do you, in the Kramik mark, they talk about turning the senses inwards, bringing it, look within. They always say redirect inwards. And but how does it work out here? But all the time the senses are going outwards. So you can only watch the chit, how the chit is going, the mind is going, and what it is getting attached to, and how the file number one is working. But on a daily basis, how do you manage your senses going outwards? I mean, how does that what should I say? How can I call that an inner universe or inner working?
Okay, let us first understand. First is the body is minuscule universe. We have five senses.
Yes.
What is the purpose of those five senses? To have the knowledge of the surrounding.
Right.
Through hearing, seeing, sensing, tasting, feeling. Correct? So you to say these senses are outward, it is meant to understand and get the feel or knowledge of the surrounding.
Okay.
But what actually happens is through the sense knowledge, you can say, or sense information, our mind gets initiated.
Okay.
And depending on your beliefs, your verbal activity will take place, your physical activity will take place, bodily activity. And that's how we interact or we act or we deal with the world.
Right.
Now, those activities of our body, that is our body self activity, our verbal speech activity, our thinking activity, our intellectual activity, our reflective consciousness activity, and our ego activity. They are violent.
Yes.
They are violent. So when we get this vision or get initiated into ourselves that who am I, then gradually this process of self-cleansing starts from gross, that is physical. We start observing our bodily activity. We find mistakes. We start correcting them. Then we move on to speech. How our speech is violent further, and that's how that's the process. So what this traditional step-by-step path gives or instructs us for self-correction is out of sense observation only,
Yes.
perception only. But we are benefited by having realized by ourselves, realize ourselves, who am I? And with that, our power of perception has opened, through which we can see it without any bias. So we don't have to get disturbed, or with that perception, we are able to understand it correctly. Functionality of every activity, what takes place, like those of the five senses. The purpose of five senses is to get information of the surrounding.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So with that, what happens is that our mind gets initiated. With that mind getting initiated, you see those, as Dada has said in his words, pamphlets of things, depending on the information of the sense.
Yes.
And then what happens? Reflective consciousness shows the realistic picture of what was felt by the sense and what was shown by the pamphlet of our mind. And then intellect analyzes reflective consciousness information and thought, makes a decision. And finally, our ego follows or endorses that decision, and activity begins. And that activity ultimately ends up in hurting others or ourselves. So this is where we analyze things, we understand, and the path is of introspection, because what matters is what you believe gets eventually reflected in our activity of our body or our speech or our thoughts, and ultimately ego. So when we understand this, so it's like the traditional path of self-cleansing given by step-by-step method outside is without this knowledge, and you become eligible for this knowledge when you reach a level of purification, level of perfection. But here Dada saw that this perfection, this purification is not possible in today's chaotic time of Kali Yuga. So he blessed us with that vision directly in a stepless way, wherein we realize ourselves and that power of perception has opened within us. And now it is helping us in this state of where there is no unity among our mind, speech, and body. And that's how we are doing. So we are progressing. So it is like we have acquired that power of perception out of grace through Dada Bhagwan, and now we are correcting our body self to become 100% non-violent. Correct?
Yes.
Shailaji?
Yes, I got it. Yeah, because the reason why this came up is because in today's world, like there's such a because it's mainly an assault on all the senses. Wherever you see, whether it's hearing. So that's the main thing that we are subjected to, the assault that I'm talking about on the senses every day. 24/7, like whether it is your TV, whether you're this thing, whatever, whether people talking,
Correct.
That's the main thing that we
Correct.
struggle. Yes.
But
So,
then that is what, first, when we understand the very functionality and purpose of the five senses, then there's no question of going outside or inside. They are meant to collect information from outside.
yes.
But
That's
what happens inside? The other is we also come across all these things. But because our mind is purified, so we don't have that particular belief.
Yes.
So, for example, very grossly, we can say one who is non-vegetarian, another who is vegetarian, he both sees both kind of foods. But one who is non-vegetarian will opt for non-vegetarian food. But one who is vegetarian will go for a vegetarian food. Correct?
Yes.
So the main thing is the mind.
Yes.
The fulcrum is the mind.
Yes.
And when that mind gets illumined by our perception, that is where you start acting or making right decision.
Right.
And that you come out of those beliefs also. Like there are people who were non-vegetarian. They became vegetarian after understanding good and bad, pros and cons of the consuming non-vegetarian food. And that's how we also gradually, through Dada's understanding that what is good, what is bad, what is violent, what is non-violent, and we have progressed, and we are still progressing further.
Yes, definitely.
Correct?
Yeah, got it.
And ultimately, that finality is going to come when we see Lord Simandar Swami.
Of course.
When that last wheel of
Yes.
ignorance, we will say, will drop, and we will be able to see things, and we'll be able to surpass the last obstacle or last layer of violence at that certain level, and we will reach absoluteness.
Yes. Got it. Thank you.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand. Pulinanandji? Unmute.
I joined a little late, but the little that I understood of Sailaji's question was that senses are constantly going out. How do I take care of that? You see, the five senses, the controller or head of the senses is the mind. The mind is the controller of all the five senses. So, when there is a desire to look at TV, eat this, listen to that, talk this, so that is because we have brought those beliefs of happiness in those things,
Right.
So and beliefs how will the beliefs operate? They will operate by thoughts that will come. Oh, let me see this, let me talk to this person, let me do this, So the mind is the essential controller. And that is why if you are able to rein in the mind, then everything will take place. Now, we cannot stop the mind. We cannot stop the thoughts. We can observe the mind or the thoughts that are coming in the mind.
Yes.
As a ignorance here, oh yeah, this thought has come. So the Purusharth, if at all, is it's just telling why you want to see this, why you want to do this. Because happiness in the Bhagavad or in this enjoyment of the five senses is inbuilt. You will constantly get happiness, by the five senses.
Yeah.
So that is inbuilt. That is the part of discharge. So when we observe the discharge and then tell file number one, why you want to do this? Why you want to do this? Is there happiness in this? So you have to just turn it around. You can't stop it. And just talk to it and slowly, one or two, okay, why you want to unnecessary talk? Just leave it at that. Just leave it there. And that will only come when you get inner happiness from the soul. And that will come as we gradually decide to remain in the present, to remain in the happiness of the pure soul. Now, this is a
Mhm.
long drawn out process. I'm only giving a brief summary of what is the roadmap to achieve that.
Mm.
Uh, Telling number one, remain in the present. Uh, 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 you spoke so much, you ate so much. How much happiness have you got? Is it permanent or temporary? So, by changing the beliefs today based on today's Gnan, one is set of beliefs of happiness we have brought in from the past, which is working as discharged thoughts. You know?
Mm.
So that has now to be changed with today's beliefs. Means you have to just superimpose that and nullify it.
Yes, yeah.
So things will come. It's not going to stop, but you can nullify it. So gradually, very slowly, you will come. It's a long drawn out process, but it'll come. Essentially, it's the mind at play, the thoughts coming from the mind, and the thoughts come based on opinions we have charged in the previous birth and beliefs we have charged. So recognize, basically, you just observe and realize that stuff, this is the stuff file number one has brought us beliefs of happiness. And because of it is happening, now Dada Bhagwan, now I want to remain in the soul and to be an observer. So start being remaining an observer, talking to file number one, and then gradually it will happen. And take mini steps, one Purusharth at a time. You want to see after 10 minutes, see after 15 minutes. Just stagger it. And then you will gradually come out. You can't do it whole hog because it's working totally against Prakriti, which will be not so easy. That's how you will rein in. Basically, observing the thoughts that come from the mind, because mind is the controller of all the five senses. And then gradually, by changing to according to today's belief, anchoring the soul. You want to sing, you want to say something. Why don't you say Om Shuddhat Mach, or why don't you say Asim Jai Karo? So just give substitutes of happiness.
Yes.
Substitute of happiness. You want to watch TV, why don't you watch Satsang? You want to this, why don't you watch this? Not every time, but gradual process. It's slightly like it's like cajoling a child.
Yes.
Do this, do this. You're a good boy. You will do homework. I will give you chocolate. If you do this much, if you get so much marks, I will give you the gift you want. That's how you have to cajole the mind and gradually come out of the grip the mind has on you. Moment the thought comes, padak say you accept it.
Right.
The
Yeah.
thing is, you immediately accept, let me do this. So now keep a watch on that and then say why you want to do it. Or suppose even you got dragged on. You got dragged on what mind says and got dragged on into the senses. After
Right.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, whenever awareness, Jagrati comes, again say, why don't you come back? It will be a slow and a cajoling process.
Yes. Okay.
It will be slow and a cajoling process.
What happens is with the mind, they say it's like a monkey, very true. Because you always find, so let us say you're finding pleasure in something, kuch khaya, yeah, like whatever, you listen to a song or whatever. And then you do it again and you watch a movie also, you do it again and you're like, okay, for that moment, let us say you had that very temporary happiness. So you're observing that you're finding temporary happiness, but then you come back to it. कि कोई बात नहीं वो movement में तो you found temporary happiness, right? So what I'm saying is the mind can be so devious. That's what I'm saying. And you can really observe that, okay, you just were happy for some time and then you went back to your, like it is a very temporary thing that you found happiness is whether you ate something or whatever, you watched some movie. So what I'm saying is that वो repetition होता है, like it keeps coming, the mistakes.
That will happen.
Yeah,
That will
it's
happen
very
because
natural.
we have brought full belief. We have brought full belief in happiness of the five senses.
Yes, exactly.
Total 100%.
Yes.
And it's more so in women and less in men. Men also have it, but it's more prominent in women. Discharge more, as we can say it.
Discharge more.
So
Right.
now that has been imbibed. This belief of happiness in the senses has been imbibed over many life births. So you can't change it overnight, but awareness and then cajoling it.
Yes.
You want to eat, chalo, food from happiness from food. Okay, chalo, you eat, but eat it slowly, chew it, and eat less than the appetite.
Yes.
So it
Right.
has been given. the desired food, and at the same time you are in control. It has not gone out of control.
Very true.
You want to watch this, see it, but only for 10 minutes. Watch TV only for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a gradual process. It's a very gradual process.
Very slow process also.
So don't get frustrated. This will happen because we have imbibed this belief of happiness in the five senses since many life births, and it is just, full of that.
Yeah, like you said, we have full faith in that almost.
That is because it is not this birth. Many
Yes.
life
Right.
because of that only a person gets the birth of a lady, a woman.
That's true.
So realize it. Number one. Number two, change your opinion that there is no happiness in this, happiness in the pure soul, or there is temporary happiness, permanent happiness here. So changing today's belief, changing today's opinion, and telling scheduling file number one, and giving it partially and withdrawing it.
Yeah.
Dada Bhagwan had one example that he would get breakfast, some boiled milk, and then poma, and then mathia also. Mathia is a fried stuff. Now, at that age, maybe 70 plus or something, fried is not good for health. But the mind says, let's eat this, let's eat this. Because that's Parmanu we have brought. So what Dada would say is, if there is a desire for eating 5 mathias, he would give 2 or 3 mathias and then just stop it at that.
Reduce
so the mind is also happy. Can't just block it, then mind will rebel after some time. So you partially listen to the mind and partially do according to your today's desire.
Yes, I think that's
That is the way of mind management.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Anybody else questions? Kashyap?
Yeah, one more question I want to have. Regarding, please more elaborate on this unity of mind, body, speech, or as they said, the disunity of the mind, body, speech. So, is there any? It is said that there's disunity of the mind, body, speech. Is it applicable for all, or even Dadaji, or had disunity of mind, body, speech, or it was an exception, or how it is, or can you explain in more details so understand?
This unity of the mind, body, speech is the typical symptom of Kali Yuga, where the three will not be aligned. What one thinks will not speak, and what one speaks, one will not behave accordingly. So this is there, and gradually, as we start doing no Kalams, what will happen is, because here we ask for Syadvad Vani, Syadvad Vartan, and Syadvad Manan. So then it will lead to that slowly. And basically, if we are able to catch it at the mind level, that fellow is nasty, I will show him a thought comes. And then if you don't catch your mind, then his speech or behavior will follow. But if you catch it at the mind level, the thought level, oh, no, sad was Vani. Then Vani and speech will be aligned with today's desire. So that awareness is basically, it's a question of awareness and telling why you want to do this, telling thoughts of the mind and all. And gradually it will come. At least next birth to aega, because we are doing this now kalam, na? So next birth it will come. But this birth also, depends how strong our determination is, Drad Nishchay. Based on that, we can get out of the discharge mind, speech, and discharge actions. Because we are changing our opinions today. Then the one way is, I want to be transparent. That whatever I do, everybody knows, everybody is open. So that is one of the ways of bringing it. But basically deciding to be no kalam or the Sadvadvani Vardhamana and a decision to bring it in alignment, gradually it will happen. Even if it doesn't happen, we can still remain an observer. Oh, you can tell file number one. You're thinking like this, but you're speaking like this. You're not speaking exactly what you're going to do. And just remain aware. Tell file number one, this is not appropriate, and march and go ahead. It's a gradual process of managing the discharge. Yes.
So,
It might
means like for example, if you take that I have thought for other person which is negative, and on the other and the outside I am forced to do or I do that positive thing, with dealing. So, so I tell the file one that this is not correct, or this is the thing, which is not. Just tell it, tell the file number one, and and do the nerve column also, that I want positivity even in thought. So the thing is, so like is it like this?
it'll come. It'll come. What is it? Basically, if you catch the mind, the thoughts, and then you see speech is different. When a so kya bhai, visitor comes, then we say, "Oh, welcome, welcome," but instead we say, "Why this has come?"
Hmm.
The moment we catch this unities, we have to tell by why we are welcoming him now. No, have positive thoughts for him, or we do file sambhavani call whatever way. So awareness and then changing the opinion that no, I want to have whatever I speak, I will do, and whatever I do, I will think. Thoughts will not come because thoughts is purely discharge, mind is purely discharge. But if you catch the thoughts and then you turn it inside only, you have to just change the belief inside or opinion inside. He's a good person. Dada used to do that when he sees someone and he feels, where this idiot has come, thought would come. Then immediately Dada would say, no, no, he's a good person, he's a good person, he's a good person. So the negative thought would be nullified with today's thing, and then automatically the alignment of thought, speech, and action will come. Catching
So
it at the
this
mind level is
the disunity or unity is of various degrees, or how it is, means
yeah,
for
various degrees,
example.
various degrees, various. Some people
You
are
said about the person comes, and we inside we have that why this person came, so what to do, like that all, but outside we are saying welcome, welcome. So means inside the negativity can be of various degrees, right? So so it is not the same disunity, right?
true. It
Yeah.
will vary.
So
The intensities will vary, and person to person, situation to situation also it will vary.
so in
Where
the
we
case of
when
Gyanipur.
when circumstances are favorable, or
Hmm.
I like a person, then disunity won't be there. But when I don't like a circumstance of person, then disunity may be proper.
Okay. And in case of Gyani Purush, so it will be almost less, almost negligible, right?
Almost. He said, no, occasionally even we get such thoughts, but then we
Hmm.
nullified immediately, instantaneously from inside.
Hmm. Okay.
Because part of discharge, so we have to observe. Essentially, the crux is remain an observer, Gnata Drashta, and then nullify it. That's the
Yes.
push at the mind level. That's the push at the mind level. Changing our opinion, no, I don't agree with what Mind has said. And he's a good person, or whatever. I have to go over there. Never mind, Harish, show you the advantages. So sometimes the mind, sometimes the intellect, we have to manage and align it with whatever situation we are facing.
And the mind and the bhav is different, right? There's a gross mind and a subtle mind. That is, the subtle mind is the bhav.
A subtle mind is the bhav. Subtle mind is the bhav. That is a charged mind, basically,
Hmm.
which does not is not there for us anymore. Bhav means in an ignorant state, that I am the name bearer. In that state, whatever thoughts come, desires come, and one gets agrees with it. Yes, I will do this. That's where the bhava charging comes place. So now we have discharge mind or discharge desires.
So when we do we are doing Namaskar Vidhi and Navkalam, so that is, are we planting causes to go to Mahavidya Kshetra for that?
For Namaskar Vidhi, it is basically eradicating biases we may have had for other gods or for other religions, We do Namaskar to all Dev, Devya, Krishna, Shiv, everyone, not Shiv, but Om Parameshwari, Panch Parameshwari. So whatever biases we may have formed in the previous birth, Viradna, Dada Bhagwan used to say, those get nullified. Even the Swami, though, by our 5 agnas, we accelerate the process of getting birth over there. All these help. Basically, all these are to nullify the Prakriti. Namaskar Vidhi, 3 months, no. It will lead towards purification or eradication. Purification, rather, purification.
So
It's supporting to 5 agnas.
So the purification we are changing the opinions there, you mean to say, right?
But basically changing opinions. Perfect.
Yes, so we are changing the opinions, so our opinions change. So as a result of that, we are not doing any bhav or any causes, but we are changing our opinions. As a result of the change of opinions, our birth will be in the suitable place, the Mahavidya Kshetra. Is it like that?
It is like that. Essentially, whatever discharge Prakriti we have brought, we are looking at it and not aligning with it or changing the opinion, basically.
Yeah, but the birth is birth in a
Birth will be decided basically. See, if a person has not got self-enlightenment, then birth will decide on whatever karmas is charging. In our case, new karmas are not getting charged. So how quickly one exhausts the discharge karma will decide the birth. And as I said, if you do now karma and all, definitely it will lead you towards moksha, towards Simanda Swami. Essentially, to remain separate and observe is the crux. 5 agnas is the crux of the Purusharth. And that will lead towards we getting a birth, maybe next birth or maybe 1 or 2 births after this over there.
But the getting birth is an effect, right?
Because we are exhausting the karmas. Dada Bhagwan very clearly said that the effect of the birth, if you see someone is not treating you well, not talking well, but you still decide, no, I don't want to hurt the person, I don't want to retaliate. Deep down, the opinion is that maybe instantaneously we may retaliate, but deep down is that. So Dada says, as you do file or sambhavinikal, squaring up of files with equanimity, in that process, what Dada says is, this Prakriti is unsuitable for this region. That is the Parakshetra or this. See. Why? Because others will abuse, but you will not abuse. So you are unfit for these people. So obviously, where will you go? You will go where people like your thought processes are there. So the Kshetra will draw you over there.
But the darshan of Simanda Swami, that is an effect, right?
Effect of our Purusharth.
Yeah, so our Purusharth will be there, right?
We are doing, all of us are doing. All of us are doing the 5 Agna Purusha.
Okay, so so that is the effect of the, okay, I got it.
Essentially, we are squaring off the karmas that we have brought in this birth. Manvachan ka file number 1 has brought a lot of karmas. So with the help of Agnas, we are cleansing out. So the discharge karmas will be cleansed out. New karmas are not formed. So obviously, very less will
But
be.
Dadaji says partially there is charging, so that
Huh?
there is partial charging is there. Partial charging is
That is
there.
that is that is only of the Agna. That is only as
Yeah.
far as we practice the Agnas. And that is not bonding to the worldly life. That will lead to lead us to Mahavidekshetra,
Yes.
proximity to Samanda Swami.
Got it. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Jai Sachidanand, the time is up. Please, can you do 3 mantras, please?
Namo
Three, four.
Vitragaya.
Namo
Namo
Vitragaya.
Vitragaya.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Siddhanam.
Namo
Namo Siddhanam.
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo
Namo
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo Vajjayanam.
Namo
Namo Vajjayanam.
Lohe Sova Sahunam.
Namo
Namo Loe Sava
Sahunam.
Sahunam.
Eso Panchanamukaro.
Es
Eso
Panchanamukaro.
Panchanamukaro.
Savabhava Panasano.
Sabba
Savapava Parasano.
Parasanam.
Manglanam Chasavesim.
Mangal
Ram
Chasavesim.
Chusavesim.
Padamam Havai
Paramam
Paramam
Havai
Havai
Mangalam.
Mangalam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om
Om Namah
Om Namah
Shivaya.
Shivaya.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.